Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. News that the JDU and RJD have forged an alliance with Congress could either create tension and turmoil in Bihar or fizzle out in the face of Narendra Modi's allegedly dominant appeal. The question is, which will it be? With me to debate that issue is JDU MP Pavan Verma, former RJD MP Alok Kumar Mehta, Congress spokesperson Rashmi Kant, BJP spokesperson GVL Narasimha Rao, and one of Bihar's foremost political analysts, Saibal Das Gupta. Pavan Verma, more than 20 years after Nitish and Lalu split, they suddenly decided to get together for the forthcoming by-elections in Bihar as well as the state assembly elections thereafter on the grounds that this is the only way to defeat the BJP. Now, if that's not rank opportunism, how else would you describe it?
First of all, Karan, you yourself said that after a gap of 20 years, politics is dynamic, not static. You don't condone what was the reasons which were wrong in the past, but you also come to grips with what are the realities today. Secondly, if it's opportunistic, and only that, it will be defeated by the people. But if it represents a counter-narrative, another form of ideology, which is based on social justice, on secularism, and above all, good governance as well. Because we need to change. We need to change. And if there is a grouping of parties which are like-minded, in a democracy there is scope for an opposition. And if it's a politically viable opposition, I don't see what the problem is.
Let me put that same question to you, Mr. Mehta. 6 months ago, your leader Lalu Yadav used to call Nitish Kumar an opportunist. He used to question Nitish's secular credentials on the grounds Nitish didn't break with the NDA after 2002. He also questioned the secular credentials of Lalu on the grounds that Nitish didn't order a probe into the Sabarmati Express burning. Has he simply forgotten all of that, or does it no longer matter?
थापर साहब, मैं बहुत अच्छी तरह आपकी आवाज़ नहीं सुन पा रहा हूं, लेकिन जितना मैं समझ रहा हूं, मैं उसके आधार पर आपको बताना चाह रहा हूं कि बिहार में ये महागठबंधन जो है वह बहुत ही नेचुरल गठबंधन है। और ये गठबंधन देश में जो पिछले दिनों जो जनमत का अपहरण कर लिया गया मोदी जी के द्वारा विभिन्न तरह के तरीकों को अपनाकर और बड़े स्तर पर भारी खर्च करके और देश की जनता को गुमराह करके और देश में सांप्रदायिकता का स्लो पॉइजनिंग किया जा रहा है, इन तमाम चीज़ों को रोकने के लिए और आम आवाम, जो हम लोगों ने राष्ट्रपति जी का भाषण सुना, हम लोगों ने बजट देखा, कहीं से भी नहीं लगता कि यह जो केंद्र की सरकार है वह समाज के अंतिम पंक्ति में बैठे लोगों के प्रति संवेदनशील है या फिर सोशल जस्टिस, जो कि संविधान का हमारा मूलभूत आधार है, सेक्युलरिज्म जो हमारा समाज का मूलभूत अधिकार है हमारे संविधान का, उस तरह के इश्यूज को कहीं भी ठीक से एड्रेस किया गया हो। कहीं सिंबॉलिक एड्रेस जरूर किया गया, लेकिन जो मास को लाभ पहुंचाने वाली बातें हो सकती हैं, जो एक अच्छे गवर्नेंस में उसे शामिल करने की बात हो सकती है, इन सभी चीजों से उन्हें मरहूम रखा गया। तो ऐसी स्थिति में विपक्ष की इन तमाम ताकतों को, जो कि कमोवेश समाजवादी विचारधाराओं को लेकर, लोहिया, गांधी, जयप्रकाश जी के विचारों को लेकर, जननायक कर्पूरी ठाकुर के विचारों को लेकर चली है, उनका एकीकरण बहुत स्वाभाविक है। ठीक है, और ये जमीन पर भी ये कुप्रचार किया जा रहा है कि जमीन पर एकीकरण नहीं। मैं कहना चाह रहा हूं कि
मेहता साहब संक्षेप में बोलिए, और लोग भी बोलना चाहते हैं। संक्षेप में बोलिए, और लोग भी बोलना चाहते हैं। Mr. Das Gupta, you've heard Pavan Verma say that in fact this is not opportunistic, it's the offering of an alternative platform. You've heard Alok Mehta say that this is a natural Gathbandhan. But the problem is that for 20 years both these gentlemen were actually trading charges and calling each other names. Now they suddenly become almost political brothers. So will the people of Bihar, because that's really who this is aimed at, will they accept this as a natural and sensible alliance, or simply a matter of convenience?
No, I would like to put that This is not this is some sort of a course correction on the part of Nitish Kumar, because when he came to power in 2005, he was essentially working out a coalition of extreme. That coalition got broken when BJP was no more part of the coalition. And he was trying to craft a coalition of the poor and the marginal. So in 2014 parliamentary election, this probably could not work. So after the failure in the election, it was a natural course correction that he could have built.
Mr. Dasgupta, let me interrupt you. You know, you're saying something very important. You're not actually agreeing with Pawan Verma, who says this is an alternative platform. You're not agreeing with Mr. Mehta, who says this is in fact a natural Garbandhan. You're saying this is a course correction by Nitish to make up for the fact, or to atone for the fact, that up till now the strategy he deployed didn't work. Therefore, there is a fantastic element of desperation here, because he knows that if he doesn't course correct, he will sink and sink without trace. Now, will the people of Bihar accept this as a course correction that returns him to their favor, or will they simply say, forget it, we've written him off, nothing that he can do will bring him back in our favor?
No, I mean, it can be examined from two angles. One, from a political angle, one from a more deeper socio-political angle.
Do it from the political angle.
See from the socio-political, I mean, it is not, I'm not saying that it is just a coalition between two or three desperate forces, because essentially the coalition of Lalu and Nitish is not antagonistic. As long as Nitish Kumar was following the coalition of an extreme, possibly the coalition could not have been possible with Lalu Prasad. Then it would have been some sort of an antagonistic contradiction. Now, after the coalition has broken, what happened in the election earlier was that while after the breakup of the coalition,
you must come to the point quickly, Mr. Dasgupta. Come to the point quickly.
Yeah, I'm saying that, he was working out the coalition of the poor. The state structure that was there at that time was almost working against the interest of the poor.
All right. So he's
one of the reasons why, that is one of the very important reasons why the coalition did not work in the election.
And that's why you're saying course correction is needed now. And that's a polite way of saying that he has to correct the mistakes that he made earlier. He's recognized them now. He hadn't recognized them earlier. Maybe Lalu and maybe Nitish have their logic, which is compulsive and which helps them overlook the fact that this looks opportunistic. It actually makes them look hypocritical, but they've got logic which helps them overlook it. What about Congress? The problem here is that in this alliance, your vote share is less than half that of JDU, it's less than half that of RJD. Of the 10 assembly election seats that are going to be first contested, you've only got 2, they've got 4 each. So they are the bigger players. Congress, if you forgive my language, is the little pappu.
Karan, very quickly to correct you on one very small point, that the Congress vote share was 8.4%, while JDU was 15.8%. So it was not, it's a very technical point, but it was not 50%. But
it's so close to it. But if 0.2% helps you,
it was not 50%. Number two, you talked about Mr. Nitish Kumar. It's between Mr. Nitish Kumar and Mr. Lalu Yadav. But let us not forget that Mr. Ram Vilas Paswan had left the BJP and the NDA 12 years ago on the issue of Godhra, and he joined the NDA later. So there is no full stops in politics. There are only commas in politics.
There's also no principles in politics. No, there's only convenience and exigency.
There are principles in politics. The fact is that as far as the Congress is concerned, the reason why the Congress is in this alliance is for simply the reasons that Mr. Pawan Verma mentioned earlier, that it is for secularism, it is for social justice, it is for better governance, it is for the fact
that the only way you can survive against Mr. Modi.
The India.
That's the truth.
No, that India should not become an extremist country. It should not become a Hindu Pakistan. India must remain a liberal country, which it was, and that is the fundamental reason why Congress is part of this alliance.
The corollary is that Congress can't do any of that on its own. It needs the support of bigger people in Bihar because you become such an irrelevant
most
party
certainly,
in Bihar.
I will not deny that at all.
All right, you're being honest, and
yes,
I applaud you for that
yes.
honesty. Mr. Narasimha Rao, let me put the flip side to you. In May, the BJP, LJP and RLSP had a combined vote share of 39%. But the three parties that are getting together, JDU, RJD and Congress, had a combined vote share of 44.3%. In theory, this alliance is a serious challenge to you.
Any election and every alliance is a challenge. But this particular arithmetic, I don't see this will work out in assembly elections. The reason being that the alliance that they have put together is an unprincipled, incompatible alliance and also a corrupt alliance. And if you look at the mandates in Bihar, 2014 was a mandate against Nitish Kumar's JDU, and 2010 election was in a way a vote against Lalu Prasad Yadav, who was already out of politics, out of governance for 5 years, because the fear of return of Lalu Raj, the Jungle Raj, prompted people to vote for the BJP and JDU combined. But now that JDU, RJD are together, I think that alliance will suffer from the same bad memories of the people.
Let me stop you and put that. Let me stop you and put that point to Pavan Verma, because I can see he's nodding. The point that actually is being made by Mr. Narasimha Rao is that this is an alliance of two people whose popularity in the eyes of Bihar has shrunk. Whatever your theoretical vote shares on paper may be, when you're matched against a Narendra Modi, neither Lalu nor Nitish really stand up as alternatives that the Biharis seem to want to reach out for. How, by getting together, do you make up for the fact that individually they aren't appealing people?
First of all, Karan, let me say to you that the BJP was also a coalition in Bihar. And I can't stomach this talk of principles from the BJP, because they actually aligned with Ramvilas Paswan, who had called the BJP the Bharat Jalao party. So, I mean, let's not get into that. This was an alliance of several parties, including the BJP, Mr. Paswan and Mr. Kushwaha. Now, there is a narrative that they postured, in which I must confess to you with complete candor, there was a great deal of religious polarization working on the ground. We have verifiable evidence of it. People are acknowledging it today. We believe that was wrong, because it was a division of the vote of the people of Bihar, not necessarily on the issue of good governance. Because even today the polls say that Mr. Nitish Kumar is the best guarantor of good governance, but on the basis of a communal divide. This kind of political approach needs a counter narrative. There is a historical necessity, almost a Chanakya necessity, for crafting a non-BJP democratic opposition. A beginning is being made in Bihar. The people will judge whether it is politically viable. And let me add, it cannot be just an opportunistic alliance. It must be also an alliance which can credibly give to the people good governance, inclusive growth, and harmonious social order.
Okay, I want to bring
one that divides the people.
Pavan Verma, I want to bring in your new ally Alok Mehta, and I want to put this to you, Mr. Mehta. Pavan Verma says that the people of Bihar have always recognized Nitish as the real example of good governance. Not so long ago, Nitish was saying that in fact the people of Bihar had realized that Lalu Yadav had brought dark days of Jungle Raj to Bihar. Right? Now these two are getting together to promise good governance. So does that mean that Lalu Yadav is accepting that in this alliance, Nitish has to rule because Nitish is the example of good governance and his Jungle Raj has to be forgotten? Because at the end of the day, which of the two of those men getting together represents good governance? And does Nitish accept that Lalu, who he accused of Jungle Raj, suddenly becomes now an exemplar of good governance?
Mr. Thapar, I am still not able to hear you properly, but still, whatever I could understand is that the hello.
जी बोलिए बोलिए सर बोलिए.
हाँ, मैं बोल रहा था कि राष्ट्रीय जनता दल और जनता दल यूनाइटेड के और कांग्रेस के एकीकरण से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं के पेट में दर्द शुरू हो गया है और वो अपने गिरेबान में झांकने के बजाय, अपनी कमियों को देखने के बजाय वो हम लोग के अलायंस का एनालिसिस, विश्लेषण करने पर तुले हुए हैं. नहीं. और उनमें तमाम तरह के मिस अलाइनमेंट नजर आते हैं.
जी, मैं बीजेपी की बात नहीं कर रहा मेहता साहब, मैं आपको अपने सवाल पूछ रहा हूं. आप बीजेपी की बात ना करें, आप मुझे ये बताइएगा कि अगर गुड गवर्नेंस के मसले पे आप इकट्ठे हो रहे हैं तो आप दोनों में से गुड गवर्नेंस कौन देगा? लालू देंगे या नीतीश देंगे? क्योंकि नीतीश कहते थे कि लालू जी ने जंगल राज दिया और लालू जी कहते थे मई के महीने में कि मैं नीतीश का सरकार तोड़ने वाला हूं. तो गुड गवर्नेंस इन दोनों में से कौन देगा?
ये दोनों कुप्रचारित किया गया था भारतीय जनता पार्टी और उनके अलायंस के द्वारा. मैं कहना चाह रहा हूं कि जो दोनों में अच्छी चीजें हैं वो सब मिलकर अच्छी से अच्छी गवर्नमेंट, अच्छी से अच्छा गवर्नेंस देने का प्रयास करेंगे. बिहार के विकास के लिए जो कुछ भी किया जा सकता है.
ये कमाल की बात आप कह रहे हैं. लालू जी ने नीतीश जी की अच्छी चीजें देखना कब से शुरू किया? अभी तक तो वो देख ही नहीं पा रहे थे नीतीश जी की अच्छाई. अब अचानक आपको सिर्फ नीतीश जी की अच्छाई दिख रही है. अब तक तो बुराई दिख रही थी, अचानक ओवरनाइट अच्छाई दिख रही है. ये लोग कैसे स्वीकार करेंगे?
Mr. Thapar, I think at the core of this alliance,
मैंने बहुत सारी अच्छाइयां हम लोग की कॉमन अच्छाइयां,
one single word,
जैसे हम लोग भी सोशल जस्टिस के,
there certainly are the issues, but at the core we do not want another Muzaffarnagar. We do not want another Saharanpur in Bihar.
दामन छोड़ दिया.
For example, immediately after the alliance broke, you had two quick riots in Bihar at Nawada and Betia. We do not want Nawada and Betia to be repeated. We don't want another Muzaffarnagar and Saharanpur to be repeated. So at the core of this alliance, beyond social justice, beyond governance, because you cannot have all that unless
is communal harmony.
Because unless there is social harmony and there is secularism, because that lies at the core of the Indian values, which has kept this nation together for centuries.
Mr. Das Gupta, at the end of the day, it's not the BJP alone that Lalu and Nitish are taking on. What they're also taking on, and for many that may be the bigger challenge, is what people call the charisma of Narendra Modi and the belief that he will change Bihar for the better. Now, the question I want to put to you is this: is that charisma and that belief stronger than the combined forces of Lalu and Nitish, or is it weaker?
I think only the election will really tell what is the real story. But theoretically, when in the parliamentary election, there was it was some sort of a plebiscitary type of election. It was much more national, and Nitish had opted out of the national election in the sense that he said that he will not be part of the this clamor for prime ministership. So the elections which were held on the national issues were essentially plebiscitary, number one. Number 2 point, BJP ensured two strategies which I think this other coalition could not understand. Apart from the ethno-religious mobilization, there was a massive backward co-option in the Hindi heartland. Thirdly, in contrast to Nitish, BJP wanted to create a coalition of extremes.
Just a moment, can I interrupt?
In the process, they co-opted Kushwaha and...
Can I interrupt? Can I interrupt? You're explaining to me why BJP did so well in May. Why shouldn't all those factors repeat themselves when the by-elections happen next month? Why shouldn't those factors repeat themselves when the state elections happen a year down the road? That's the point I'm making. At the end of the day, if the charisma of Mr. Modi swept the BJP to power, is that charisma greater than the combined forces of Lalu and Nitish? Answer that specifically.
No, it will be difficult to predict at this moment. I will not be able to prognosticate.
I'm asking you to give me an analysis. Don't give me a prediction. Give me an analysis.
No. Analysis is that now the by-election and the state election will be plebiscitary in the context of the province. Now here, there is going to be game changer as far as the agenda will be concerned. one of the very important thing is that what I am saying, that the broadest possible backward poor coalition which Nitish could not craft in the parliamentary election, I think it may come out in a substantive manner.
Okay.
And secondly, earlier the problem was that while he was crafting a political coalition, on the other hand, the bureaucratic structure which was completely antagonistic to that coalition. Now I think the course corrections have been made.
All right.
Possibly the thing which happened during the parliamentary election, the social coalition which operated in the parliamentary coalition, because it was much more plebiscitary, in the state election this may get changed.
All right.
We will get this glimpse.
You've given me
10 by-elections.
You've given me there two reasons why you think, in fact, this alliance could actually achieve what they were unable to achieve when they were separate entities fighting against Mr. Modi. You may well be right. Let me put this to you, Mr. Narasimha Rao, and it's a journalistic way of taking forward the much deeper point made by Mr. Shaibal Das Gupta. People are going to judge the so-called charisma of Mr. Modi in the first instance by how BJP performs in those 10 by-elections. Now, in May, in the Lok Sabha elections, you won 77% of the seats in Bihar along with your allies. If this time round you don't win 75% of the 10 by-elections, people will say Modi is in retreat. And chances are you're not going to win that many by-elections. So suddenly people will say, this combination of Lalu and Nitish is winning and Modi is in retreat. And that can begin to change the perception very quickly.
No, because the complexities and the factors that work in by-elections are going to be entirely different in a general election. Number one, there is a minority government in office in Bihar, so there could be a little advantage towards the JDU because people would want to have a stable government. I'm only trying to analyze it. I'm not speaking from a political point of view. But when it comes to the main election, I think this is a huge tactical blunder by Nitish Kumar. By aligning with RJD, he has completely given up on whatever credibility he had as a governance-oriented politician.
You're bound to say that you represent the BJP tonight.
At the altar of electoral...
You're bound to say that, Mr. Narasimha Rao, you represent the BJP tonight. You're not speaking as an independent analyst. So let's leave that aside because you're wearing a spokesman's hat, not an analyst's hat. I'm going to come very quickly to Pavan Verma and then to Mr. Rashmikant. The question I want to put to you this, Pavan, and I want you to give me a short, sharp answer. To be a credible alliance hereafter, your first obstacle is you have to perform well in those by-elections. How many of those 10 seats do you think you can win in the face of what still remains the bandwagon effect of Mr. Modi's charisma? A quick answer to that.
A quick answer. The bandwagon effect of Mr. Modi when he was fighting the parliamentary election was to harness most efficiently the anti-incumbency mood of 10 years of Congress rule. Now he will be judged by what he has done when he has been in power, and already people are seeing that neither has it made an impact on prices nor on jobs.
So how many out of 10?
There have been too many fumbles of this government.
So how many out of 10?
The promises are not what he has promised. He has promised the sun and the moon.
So how many out of 10?
Secondly,
how many out of 10? How many out of 10?
My prediction, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10? 10 out of 10? You really mean that?
For this new alliance.
All right.
But of course the people are the final judge. I am speaking here as a politician. But I want to say that this coalition has a very good and credible chance.
All right. I'm going to stop you there. He's claiming that the alliance will get 10 out of 10 of the 10 assembly by-elections. How many will Congress get out of that 10?
Well, you know, they've...
You're only contesting 2, by the way, so you can't get more than 2.
I don't have a crystal ball, Karan, so I am not...
How about self-confidence?
No, there's complete self-confidence, but I will still maintain I do not have a crystal ball, but I want to make quick 2 points.
No, but answer my question first.
How
many of the 2 that you're contesting...
The confidence level comes from the fact that 2 days ago, we won 3 seats in Uttarakhand in a state where we got 0 out of 5. Here there was 25% in the state, 25% seats against BJP. We got 3. 2 of them were held by BJP earlier. Number 2, The fact that BJP does not, and the fact that this is a pan-Indian phenomena is shown by the reluctance of BJP to go in for Delhi elections when two major parties who have a majority in the assembly have categorically wanted elections, and the BJP for some reason or the other is not going for elections.
I'm going to stop you with a compliment and say you're not a good politician for nothing. A very clever way of deflecting my answer about how many out of the 2 will you win in Bihar is to say that you won 3 in Uttarakhand, where in fact 2 came from the BJP. You never know. You never know. Fortune may smile on you the same way in Bihar.
Yes, but I do not.
On the other hand,
yes,
fortune may also smile on Mr. Modi. The problem is we don't know until we know. We can all speculate and quarrel. After all, that's what the fun of speculative journalism is all about. My thanks to all 5 of my guests for joining me. And there I'm afraid we have to end this particular episode. To have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.